Yo, you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another TNI news video. And as always, we have got a lot of things to cover, and I do mean a lot, including new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe toys, an update on the Haslab Galactus, Simpsons Ultimate figures, and more. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so let's start off with some Marvel news. So first of all, just for your regular update on the Haslab Galactus. So Hasbro, as I talked about on Tuesday, has been making the rounds, doing interviews with various social media people. And yesterday they did an interview with ShartimusPrime. And in that interview, they basically stated up front unequivocally that if the Nova figure, the Frankie Ray Nova figure, is not unlocked, that is the first stretch goal in the Galactus Haslab campaign, which would require 16,000 backers in order to get the Nova figure. And they stated in the interview that if it does not get unlocked, the figure would not be re-released somewhere else in the line for at least 2 years, not in 2022 or 2023. They did kind of leave the door cracked for a possibility of maybe seeing the figure at some point after that, but definitely they said don't expect to see that figure anytime soon. Now, I know some people are taking that like, oh, Hasbro's trying to threaten us or scare us into backing the Haslab Galactus. And I mean, first of all, you've got to take what these stretch goals are meant to do. They're meant to entice people into buying something. So obviously, I mean, it really should go without saying that if they're going to reveal something as a stretch goal, they're not going to turn around a couple months later and release it as a regular release. That would kind of defeat the whole purpose. So, yes, I would say they're trying to entice you to go on and back the Galactus figure so that you can also get the Nova figure. But, if you're shocked by that, then you really don't have an understanding of how these things work. So, if you're getting all bent out of shape because Hasbro said that in an interview when they were actually asked about it, I think you're crazy. I still think, I still put out there that my personal opinion is they should go on and announce all the stretch goals, so that if it is, possibly something that would incentivize more people, it can, have an effect, especially if it's something like a celestial alternate head or what have you. But I definitely think they should go on and do that, and kind of crazy that they're not. But nevertheless, if you're thinking Hasbro's going to turn around and release Nova at a later date, according to them, at least not for 2 years, if ever. Now, as of right now, as I'm filming this, the project currently has 12,384 backers with just under 11 days to go. As I've stated before, I still have very little doubt that we will reach the 14,000. Those that are saying, oh, it's not going to get backed, I think you're crazy. These things always get huge boosts, so I think it'll easily get over the remaining, less than 2,000 backers that it needs for Galactus itself. I do have doubts about whether we will get to 16,000 for Nova or anything else, especially, again, if they don't go on and reveal what all the stretch goals are. But, I think at this point, if you're debating on whether to get Galactus or not, you just have to decide on the Galactus itself on whether it's worth it or not. And if it's not, I think that's totally cool. I don't think Hasbro's ripping people off. I think there's a legitimate reason for why the backer count is so high. It's to spread out the costs of the figure. Prices have gone up on things like shipping drastically in the industry. Hasbro is not the only person to have said that. I've heard it from multiple sources in the industry, so that's not a farce. I can't sit here and say definitively what the profit margin Hasbro has on this thing. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect a company to make a profit on a figure. In fact, if you're thinking they're going to just do it to break even or what have you, I think you're crazy. But if you really just don't think it's worth $400, I certainly can understand that. Or if you don't, feel you can afford $400, I definitely can understand that. So I'm certainly not advocating to you that you should buy this figure. I'm not. I'm even personally on the fence and haven't completely made up my mind. I'm leaning towards probably getting it. But what I am saying is at this point, while I know we're all interested to know what the unlockable tiers would have been, I think it's time that we probably just base our decisions on the Galactus figure itself and not worry about those. If any of them do get unlocked, so much the better. But at this point, I would just assume that you're going to get the Galactus figure and nothing else. Now, just this morning, we got the final trailer. Yes, the final trailer for the Eternals movie, which actually doesn't open in theaters until November. It does seem a little strange that they're giving us the final trailer already. I understand they probably want to have a trailer out there to show in front of the Shang-Chi movie, but I don't know. It just seems kind of early for the final trailer. But nevertheless, we got it today. It does explain why they weren't there during Avengers Endgame, the Eternals themselves, some stuff like that. We get our looks at some Celestials. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts if you're excited for this one or not. Shang-Chi itself is right now seeing projections of having one of the lowest opening movies in the MCU history. So, that's not to say necessarily it's going to be a bad movie. It's just that I think a lot of people are not going to movie theaters right now for various reasons. But, Eternals will come out in November. Shang-Chi's due out in September. And, of course, we do have the Marvel Legends wave of Eternal figures that are coming, which I do expect will likely be officially revealed next week. Hasbro has gone on and announced a second live stream for Marvel Legends next Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And as I've mentioned previously, I believe one of the things they'll be revealing fully is the next Spider-Man themed wave, which I've talked about. And then again, also Eternals. They'll probably touch upon the Galactus Haslab, which will be in its final couple of days at that point. And then who knows what else they'll show or reveal during it. But whatever it is, we'll have full coverage for you up on Marvelous News. Or, of course, you can watch it live on the Hasbro Pulse YouTube channel. And again, that's next Thursday, which is the 28th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, speaking of crowdsourcing projects, Mattel has sent out an update for theirs with that WWE Arena. They've released some new packaging images for both of their Ultimate Edition figures that will be included with this set, with the Diesel figure and Doink the Clown. Now, that set reached its backer goals, all of its backer goals last Friday. They had that early bird special Macho Man figure announcer that they threw in for people who had backed it up until last Friday. So if you back it now, you don't actually get the Macho Man figure, but you will get Doink, and then you will also get the ring skirts, which were the two original unlockable tiers for that project. Now, I've seen some people saying that Hasbro should do something similar with like their Galactus or future Haslabs, where they offer something early bird, meaning, if you back it early, you will get something that no one else will get. I totally disagree with that. I think, with the Mattel one, I mean, yes, it did give it a little bit of a boost last Friday, but I think it would have gotten that boost anyway towards the end. But my main problem with the early bird goal is that many people, especially when you're talking about an expensive figure like, say, a $400 Galactus, not everybody just has $400 sitting around that they can easily spend on one action figure. So, some people need a little bit of time to be able to put that money together. People who wait to the last minute aren't just doing it. Many of them aren't just doing it for, shits and giggles. They're doing it because they need that time to be able to, budget the money so that they can actually get it. So I think it's unfair to those people who need that extra time, to give something that they then won't get with the project, even though they're paying the same amount of money. While Hasbro might be getting a little bit of negative backlash from fans over how they've handled Galactus, I think if they tried to do something like that, I mean, just think about it. If they said, hey, if you back Galactus in the first 2 weeks, we'll give you Nova, but if you wait until after that, you don't get Nova. Just think how many people would be pissed off. I'm willing to bet it'd be far more people would be pissed off then than they are now. I'm not saying the early bird feature might not have some merits, especially for a less expensive item. Again, the Mattel ring only costs $250, so it is significantly cheaper. But overall, I do not think it's a terribly good practice to do with these types of Kickstarters. Now, while we're on the subject of Mattel, just today we got the official reveal for the new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe toys that they will be doing. This is for the new second Netflix series, not to be confused with the Kevin Smith Revelation series. This is a CGI-oriented animated series, and it is very much made for the young kids. It is not really made for adult collectors. You know, some adults who are really into He-Man might still choose to get them. And the cartoon, you know, I'll probably check it out. But again, I realize it's not actually made for me. It's made to try and entice young kids. And I don't know exactly if this will work in that regard. But, you know, I'm not maybe probably super in tune with very young kids. You know, definitely there's, you know, some Fortnite feel to this, I think. But again, that is probably something that is more appealing to young kids than, say, the original 80s He-Man cartoon. So I have no real problem with what we're seeing here. So for me personally, you know, again, I probably am not going to collect any of these toys. And while I'll check out the cartoon, if I think it's not very good, you know, I'm not going to sweat it. But for the toys, you know, I've talked about some of these before. We've seen some images leak out previously for these. You know, they're doing a wide variety of basic figures that are only going to cost $10 each. They're also doing some larger scale figures, which are a little bit over 8 inches tall. And those figures will be $13 each. And of course, they're doing the likes of He-Man and Skeletor, Sorceress, Orko, who looks like is a robot now, apparently, which, you know, is kind of an interesting take, you know, and some other characters, Trapjaw. It looks like we're getting a Trapjaw figure, a young sorceress type figure. So, you know, like I said, not terribly for me, but it'll be interesting to see if this in fact somehow does capture the attention of young kids, which I think would actually be very important for the longevity of the Masters of the Universe franchise. Probably the design I am least happy with is the Man-at-Arms one, which, you know, he really doesn't seem to have a face, and with some of the artwork it looks like it's almost like a hologram type face. I don't know, but that's probably the one I like the least. Oh, and then I've heard that Ram Man is now going to be named Ram Ma'am, which is kind of funny, but I'm sure will probably outrage some people. But again, like I said, this is made for the kids, and if you're an adult collector, which is probably who you are if you're watching this, I really wouldn't get too upset one way or the other over these. And the series, the Netflix series, is going to start airing on September 16th. Now, staying in theme with stuff for kids, let's move on to Playmates toys. So I just wanted to share these new in-hand images thanks to Derek, who posted these up on social media. I will put a link to his Twitter account down in the video description below. But he has posted some in-hand images for those new 6-inch classic collection Shredder and Triceraton figures. So these will be released as 2-packs later this year at Walmart. And with the Triceraton, he's going to come with a Raphael figure, the same 6-inch Raphael figure that Playmates released a couple years ago. And then Shredder is going to come with Donatello. So Triceraton actually looks pretty good overall, though I will say the scale for both Shredder and the Triceraton, when you compare them to the Turtles, seems a bit off. Both seem on the short side. But I will say with the face sculpt on that Shredder figure, you know, definitely to me, Shredder is kind of looking like a kid with this figure. Now, remember, Shredder, along with a Krang and Android body, were originally shown off several years ago, prototypes for the original 6-inch line that they were doing. And then the Shredder never got released. So I don't know, maybe that's why. But they figured, why not go and put it out there? And frankly, my guess is when these go up on Walmart, they'll probably sell out pretty quickly. Tomasi Nations has released official images for their SH Figure Arts Dragonball Kefla figure. This figure is going up for pre-order today on the Premium Bandai website. And the figure is going to come with multiple facial expressions, hands, and energy effect parts. On the Star Wars front, we've got some new images for Star Wars Mission Fleet Bo-Katan and Gauntlet Starfighter from the Mandalorian TV series. So, of course, with the Mission Fleet stuff, again, that's really made more for the kids. But look for this set to be released later this year. And it's going to cost $22.99. NECA Toys is teaming up with Rubies, the folks that make Halloween costumes. And they've launched a new online website specifically to sell high-end Star Wars collectibles. So they've got things on their site like a replica of the Imperial Royal Guard helmet, stuff like that. Again, these are high-end stuff, so we're talking about stuff that's going to cost you in the neighborhood of 6, 7, 800 plus. But again, this is actually a joint venture between NECA Toys and then Ruby's, who do the Halloween costumes. NECA has released some updated images for that Halloween 2 2-pack featuring Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis, the 7-inch Ultimate figures. I've talked about this set before. It was announced last month during their Comic-Con virtual panel. Now this set has gone up for pre-order. It's available at places like our sponsor Big Bad Toy Store, and it is slated for a December release date. Now I will note that it looks like prices have started to go up on the NECA figures. So this particular set's going to cost you around $75. NECA also released new updated images for their Universal Monsters The Mummy figure. This was another one that they showed off at their virtual Comic-Con event last month. This figure is also available for pre-order at places like our sponsor Big Bad Toy Store. You're going to get 3 different head sculpts, 2 pairs of hands, and an Egyptian chest. The sarcophagus is not included, as seen in some of these images, unfortunately. And again, with this one, look for it to cost a little bit more. It's going to cost you in the neighborhood of around $35 to $38. On the McFarlane toy front, now that DC Multiverse Azrael armored Batman figure, the repaint version with the metallic silver that I've previously talked about, this is a Walmart exclusive, part of the Gold Label collection. The figure is available for actual pre-order now on the Walmart website, and it is slated currently with an October 29th release date. And then this week, we also got the official images and details for that Lobo figure, as well as the Superboy Prime from Infinity Crisis. So we had seen some teaser images for both of these figures previously, but these are both now available for pre-order at places like our sponsor Big Bad Toy Store. So with the Lobo figure, he comes with the hook and chain, and he's got some nice detail on the back of his jacket. It says, "Bite me, fanboy." He does not come with really much else in the way of accessories other than the stand and art card. And then with the Superboy Prime, he doesn't really come with anything, again, other than the base and the art card. And as I said, both of those figures are now up for pre-order and are slated for release in October. Something I forgot to mention on Tuesday, it was announced this week that Hasbro is doing a special limited edition Aliens M41-A blaster. This is part of their Nerf line. It is being made available exclusively on Hasbro Pulse as well as GameStop. It's going to cost you around $100. It does have electronics to it. It's got an electronic dart counter. The gun measures about 28 inches long, and again, it's for Aliens from the Aliens movie franchise. So if you're into that, you might want to check this one out. Last time I checked, they were available on both the GameStop and Pulse website. I haven't checked recently, but so I don't know if they've sold out or not. But again, those are the 2 places that will be offering this one. For you Power Ranger fans, yesterday 2 new figures from the Lightning collection went up for pre-order at Target. They are doing the black and blue Ninja Rangers. So these figures come with 3 different head sculpts. You can have an unmasked head sculpt, you can have a semi-masked head sculpt, or you can have a completely masked head sculpt. If you're into Power Ranger Ninjas, these might be ones that you want to check out. Now, as I said, these went up for pre-order yesterday, but as I'm filming this today, the pre-orders on both Target, and they were also available on Hasbro Pulse, have sold out. I imagine Target will get more of these in at some point. I don't know if they'll offer more pre-orders, but when they come into actual stock, then I imagine you'll be able to get another shot at them. Probably will be available in physical stores as well. Now, Target didn't actually give any kind of release date when they had them up for pre-order, but on Hasbro Pulse, it says these are going to be out on January 10th, 2022. That's when they would start shipping out. So I would expect to probably see them at Target, either late December or early January. For you G.I. Joe fans, it is very much looking like 2022 is going to be a pretty good year for classified. So I've talked about this before. I've written some articles on TNI about this. Right now, it is looking very much like there's going to be at least somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 13, and there very well could be more, but at least 12 to 13 regular release, non-exclusive G.I. Joe classified figures released next year. I've personally confirmed that from multiple sources, including seeing listings in the Target system. So that is almost a given, unless something gets canceled. But right now, at least, it very much looks like that there's going to be a good number of regular release classified figures next year. There will continue to be some Target exclusives, but there's actually some good news on that front as well, at least to me. So the folks at What's on Joe's Mind posted up a video yesterday. They did some digging. I have not been able to independently confirm all of these figures, just a couple, like Storm Shadow and Stalker, but I feel pretty confident that these guys wouldn't just make these up. And again, I have seen that there's at least this many figures coming next year. So, with always until Hasbro officially confirms these, we will treat this as rumor. And again, I've only been able to independently confirm these myself, a couple of these, but I feel, very good chance that these in fact will end up getting released next year. So I'm just going to go down the list, and I will put a link to What's on Joe's Mind's YouTube channel. Again, they posted up a video yesterday, so they are the source for this information. So according to them, in January, starting next January, we are going to be getting another deluxe type figure like the Snake Eyes with Timber, only this time it is going to be the Cobra Croc Master with an alligator. So, that's, one of the later release characters in the line, but definitely a cool one. Then for regular releases, starting in February, we are going to see Storm Shadow. Now, with all of these, we don't know exactly what kinds of looks the characters will have. Keep in mind these images that you're seeing, I put these together. These are just for reference purposes, but I don't have a confirmation. I'm assuming Storm Shadow will be some variation of his, more regular Cobra Ninja look. Perhaps based on the images that have been up on the official G.I. Joe site. But I don't know exactly how these characters will actually end up looking. I feel like most of them will have fairly classic looks, but again, that is actually not confirmed. But in February, we are going to see Storm Shadow, a spirit with Freedom. Now, I do highly suspect that Freedom will get a redesign, a more modernized redesign. So I would not expect the spirit figure to look like his original version. And then a Cobra Officer, which is probably going to be a variation of the Cobra Trooper we previously got, perhaps with the Cobra silver symbol on his chest and a different weapon, maybe a little bit different helmet as well. But we're getting a Cobra Officer figure. Then for April, nothing in March, but then in April, it is said that we are going to get Tomax and Xamot. Now, these will be individual releases. It's kind of strange to me they're not doing 2-packs of these guys, but we're getting individual releases of both Tomax and Xamot, the twins. I would assume in their Cobra outfits, not like their business suits, but again, I don't know that for sure. We are getting a Stalker figure, so about time we finally got Stalker. So he's coming in April of next year based on these rumored lists. Then for June, a Crimson Guard, one I'm very excited for, my favorite version of the Cobra Soldier, the Crimson Guardsman, which will go nicely with the Crimson Guard commanders, Tomax and Xamot. And then Zorana is supposedly getting the action figure treatment. And then finally in June, Dusty. So those three are supposedly coming in June. Oh, and then there's also a 2-pack featuring a Cobra Viper and a Cobra Viper Officer. So, if you still haven't been able to get your hands on the Target exclusive Cobra Viper, it looks like there is going to be, at least in a 2-pack, a regular release version coming. Then in July, there's supposedly some type of crossover figure. They really didn't have specific details on this one. They speculated it might be another Fortnite type figure like they did with Snake Eyes, but it's just listed as a crossover figure. So we'll have to wait and see what that one is. And then finally for Target store exclusives. Now, as I said, there will continue to be more Target store exclusives. But for me, this is good news. The theme will be changing from Cobra Island to Tiger Force versus Python Patrol. So for me, that essentially sounds like it means we, instead of getting unique mainstream characters, we're just going to start getting variant versions. That's what they did with the original Tiger Force and Python Patrol characters, is they were just repaints of characters that we had already gotten with, you know, tiger stripes and things like that. So that's what I'm guessing these will be, which means for me personally, I won't have to hunt around for these because I really don't care that much about repainted variants. But, you know, if you're into Tiger Force and Python Patrol, you may want to get them. And unfortunately, they will be Target exclusives. Though, of course, to be fair to Target, you know, here in recent months, they have been making a lot of these Cobra Island figures much more readily available. So, you know, if you wanted to get the Target exclusives that have been released so far, you know, I think you've certainly had pretty ample opportunity to do so, as long as you're at least willing to buy them online. I still haven't seen much in the way at physical stores, but definitely online they've been making them pretty readily available. Now, the 3 figures that are coming in July are Outback, which did have a Tiger Force version back in the day, a Python Viper, so another Viper in Python colors, which again had a Python figure back in the day, and then what is listed as a Python Bat, a Battle Android Trooper, which actually did not have a Python version back in the day, so this would be the first time we're getting a Python Patrol Bat. But to me, that also means there's got to be a regular Bat version coming. Now, whether that will be released maybe later this year as a Target exclusive, I don't know. It's been long rumored. But you can bet if there's going to be a Python Patrol Bat figure, they're definitely at some point going to release a regular version as well. So that's it, but definitely, there definitely could be more coming next year. That's just what we know about right now. But for me, at least, I definitely feel like 2022 is going to be a good year for classified collectors. Now, if you haven't heard, ShartimusPrime, YouTuber ShartimusPrime, is going to be launching his very own action figure line via Kickstarter sometime next month. He is calling these Street Humans, and they are 6-inch, 6.5, but that puts them in scale with lines like Marvel Legends. So they're 6-inch figures that he's doing. He's working with other folks in the industry, including Dave Bonner, on these, but these are his figures. You know, he's putting up the money, and it was his idea and everything. He of course has hired people to essentially work on the line for him. But again, these will be launched on Kickstarter next month sometime. I don't know specifically when, but sometime in September. So far, he has shown off just a couple of the figures. There are going to be 4 figures released initially, and then maybe a couple of unlockable tier figures, maybe 2 additional figures with unlockable tiers. But those specific details have yet to be hammered out. Now, the idea behind these figures is essentially they're street type thug characters, but they have alternate heads that look like aliens. So the idea is like aliens have come to Earth and they've disguised themselves as everyday people type of thing. But honestly, from an action figure, I mean, you know, I'm assuming he's going to put together a story behind these guys. I believe he might be even working on some type of web-based animated series or such for it. But for me, you know, from the collector standpoint, where I see the appeal with these is, you know, for those of you who want just like common day street thugs to go up against, say, your Marvel Legends Spider-Man or Daredevil figure or Batman or what have you. You know, the alien aspect is cool, and definitely some really nicely detailed alien head sculpts look like will be included with these. But for me, again, this really, for the appeal to me, would be more with the street thug aspect. And using them with other action figure lines. So, you know, if you're into toy photography or things like that, this might be something that interests you. Now, I don't know how much the figures are going to cost, since, you know, this is an independent, you know, action figure line. I would probably expect them to cost in the neighborhood of at least $40, but again, those details have not been made available. But Shartimus each week keeps showing off a new figure, and then as we get into September, I think he'll put out all that information. So I will put a link to the Street Humans YouTube page. It does have its own dedicated YouTube channel, so I'll put a link to that in the video description below if you want to check out more on these. Okay, and then finally for Super 7. So Super 7 is going to be doing 7-inch scale Ultimates Simpson figures. So as I'm filming this, Super 7 has not yet actually officially announced these figures. It started out yesterday. They put up a teaser image of this green rod. You know, you may remember the episode In Rod We Trust. So it was pretty easy to decipher that the tease was in fact for Simpson Ultimates figures. But then, strangely enough, somebody decided to do a Google search on on Super 7 Ultimates Simpsons figures, and a listing from the Super 7 website actually came up. The link was not live, but it did in fact confirm that they're doing Ultimates figures. And then, of course, folks started to do more digging, and these images actually of the figures in the wave surfaced. So these are the figures for the first wave of Simpson Ultimates figures. So they're doing Deep Space Homer Simpson. They are doing Poochie, which to me is probably the coolest figure in the wave. They are doing robot versions of Itchy and Scratchy. And then Mo is getting the action figure treatment as well. So I will say it's a little bit odd that they didn't do like at least one regular version of the main Simpsons family in the wave. I know Super 7 likes to spread out the main characters in a line, and that certainly makes sense to me. But you know, we get Homer, but he's in the astronaut outfit. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird that they didn't give us just one regular main Simpson family character that maybe they consider Mo, you know, as one of the original characters. You know, maybe that's why they put that one in there. So, but you know, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do like, you know, a lot of celebrities have been on Simpsons, and so I don't know if they'll be able to do celebrity type figures and stuff. Again, as I'm filming this, the official announcement has not yet come out on these. They've essentially leaked out thanks to the tease that Super 7 put up yesterday. But I do expect these figures to be going up for pre-order everywhere that carries Ultimates by tomorrow, which is the 20th. Tomorrow afternoon. I you know, probably this evening, and maybe by the time you're watching this, Super 7 will have officially announced these, and they might even put them up for pre-order on their own website before other places carry them. But they will be offered other places. Again, pretty much anywhere that carries Ultimates will have these. And if you're into Simpsons, you know, you may want to check these out. Okay, so that's it for today. I told you it was going to be a long one, but we had a lot to go over, a lot of big news that came out in just the last few days. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything we talked about down in the comments section below. If you haven't already, please think about subscribing to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. You should also hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. Stay safe out there, guys, and until next time, I'll catch you later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.